States also sent a warning to Iran through Qatari intermediaries, emphasizing the need for de-escalation. According to reports, efforts are underway to establish a mechanism for the US and Israel to address Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile programs and to determine joint action to thwart these efforts. Meanwhile, Qatar is working to revive nuclear talks between the United States and Iran, with Qatari officials holding extensive discussions with Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff. Iran has repeatedly stated over the past 2 weeks that it is ready to engage in talks with the US once Israel halts its attacks. Meanwhile, Israeli has responded to US President Donald Trump's outburst, expressing gratitude for his mediation and belief in the conclusion of the 12-day war with Iran.
It's just a demonstration that Israel, even though it claims to be, in charge of its own fate and future, is still dependent on American support completely in terms of both political and financial and, of course, ammunition. So this was just a very small but significant demonstration of how Israel relies on international legitimacy and especially American one.
Yes, that's typical Trump. But again, he didn't do anything dramatic about it. Just like he didn't fire back, on Iran.
Fuck,
He doesn't
man.
want to get into a war. That I believe. He really does not want to get into war. On the contrary.
Honestly, after what has happened for the past like a week and a half, I'm just happy that it's all gonna end. Hopefully, we're still not sure 100%, but I'm just happy that I can go back to my place because I was spending nights in a different place. We had no bomb shelter, and honestly, I don't care that much about what Trump said about Israel. At the end of the day, I think he's the one that truly helped to, bring an end to this war. That's what's important to me.
Now we're joined by Dr. Aaron Cohen, Professor of Non-Proliferation and Terrorism Studies, Middlebury Institute. Thank you so much for joining us on Beyond Your Responsibility and having with us. Now, what we're seeing playing out interesting dynamics, we're hearing that Netanyahu is reprimanded by US President Donald Trump, and of course, Donald Trump sees this as a personal achievement. So, what's your assessment of how things are?
Well, there is no question that it happened in a very awkward moment. Essentially, Israeli pilots, Israeli aircraft were 2 hours away from Israel zone, minutes before attacking. So even technically, just to change from the prime minister to the center of the military to the cockpit, it's gross number of actions. It's not easy to do, and they were very, very close to doing it. That's one reason apparently why Netanyahu was not easy about that request. And it's something, but it was much less than they had expected to do. Trump was very determined to appear as, I wouldn't say neutral, but to appear as fair for both sides. And it was a principle for him that he wanted to keep the ceasefire, and that's why he put his entire weight against Netanyahu. Netanyahu had to comply.
Right. We know that the United States is one of Israel's biggest allies and biggest backers. We've seen that in the past 20 months or so. That being said, of course, there were so many questions. We were discussing this earlier as well. There were so many questions regarding whether or not the ceasefire will stay and for how long, many unanswered questions there. Do you think this move, what we're hearing about Trump asking Netanyahu to not go ahead with strikes, then also Netanyahu complying, which is also a big deal, do you think that is likely to inspire more confidence now?
Well, I think both parties, Iran and Israel, both of them need a ceasefire. So the ceasefire for the short run, I think it's going to hold. I think it would be complicated to get any agreement, and definitely not a formal diplomatic agreement, in part because Israel and the United States, asking
Jeez, come now.
support in various legal instruments, international legal instruments, such as the NPT. It would be very difficult to push no infringement. It would be very difficult to put limits on missiles because it's not being entered in any agreement. in any international treaty or anything like that. And essentially, it would be in terms of surrender. And I don't think that Iran will be ready to do that. There is always the possibility of Israel, if there is no agreement, would
See, I
come
don't
back.
like that too.
I don't think it will happen immediately. So I think it would be
Just
time
really
for
nothing.
effort to try to reach something, possibly less than formal, something informal. And as I said, I think there is a strong near-term interest on both sides. Both sides, this one is very exhausted. Iran needs to end this humiliation. The Israeli Air Force is flying back and forth all over Iranian territory, so many miles away from Israel, and doing as if it's owning the Iranian sky. So Iran needs to do an end to that. As you know, there were over 1,500 sorties over those 12 days. That's incredible. Israel is exhausted. It's a logistic and an enormous effort on the Israeli Air Force and other elements of the Israeli army. So they need that kind of time to resource, regroup, and the like. So I think there is a strong interest for both sides at this point to stop it. The Iranian response was much less than expected, but nevertheless, whenever it hits Israel, it was serious. We saw it in the picture just shown on the screen. The last day it was 4 people were killed in Beersheba, and it was every hit is substantial. Yes, there was fear from much worse than that, but it was still bad.
Right, Dr. Cohen, if I may just bring in another perspective on this. We were earlier joined by another military expert, Mr. Ron Alido, who was talking about despite the losses, this appears to be a strategic victory for Iran because if Israel's stated goal was one, dismantling its nuclear program completely and also regime change, both of these things don't appear to have happened despite the losses. And he went on to say, in fact, that this is a strategic defeat for Israel. Do you agree with that assessment?
Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are question marks to what extent and how much damage Israel and the United States were able to cause to the Iranian nuclear program. At the lowest side, it would be some months. I think at the minimum, we can talk about 6 months. At the highest term, people talk about possibly years. I think it's the lower thing. But at the same time, the Iranian nuclear program, all sites, but in particular Natanz, Fordow, and Isfahan, all of them have got some damages. It will take a long time to
Jeez, man.
restore. I think also in terms of results, Iran will have to rebuild itself. I mean, the investment was huge. Some people estimate $500 billion over the years, over the last 10 years was invested. And so much of it, not all of it, but so much of it has been destroyed. And it was destroyed in a short time, 12 days, and in a very, very humiliating way. So I think it's a very humiliating event for Iran. Iran will have to think how to get out of it, what's its priorities, its own politics. So it's not just a question of technical damage. We do not have a full assessment. Even the Pentagon, the preliminary assessment of the Pentagon, which says there was significant damage, but apparently Fordow did survive each side, they acknowledge that we don't have this very preliminary assessment, this damage assessment. So it will take time. But there is also the political damage, the political fallout, and its impact on the Iranian result, and in their effort to try to reestablish their priorities. So I think it's a major strategic victory for Iran, incredible success for Israel, but the Iranian nuclear program is still an issue. Still with us, it's still pending.
Absolutely, the Iranian nuclear program does remain an issue as it has for a while now. But that being said, do you think the negotiations will start soon? And if so, which of course we are seeing that both sides are talking about getting back to the negotiating table. But that being said, how do you see the negotiations playing out? Because Iran had made it clear even before Operation Rising Lion that the uranium enrichment of course remains a red line. So, what's your assessment when it comes to that?
Well,
Fuck, man.
taken from Iran. Because those facilities were so badly damaged, even though we don't to the full extent. The Iran, in terms of economy, in terms of its desire to relieve the sanctions, is in a stronger than before. Because it needs money to recoup itself from the oil and from the, so relieving the sanctions is very critical for Iran. I am skeptical about the U.S. as the broker. I mean, I think it may go to another forum with larger than just the United States, just larger than just managed by Witkoff as the emissary of the President of the United States. So I see various political and legal difficulties in the current context. And as we know right now, there is no yet any immediate effort to start negotiation in the coming days. So it will take time just to reignite the forum, the format,
Wow.
the settings to start to reignite that. It's not trivial.
All right. Dr. Cohen, thank you so much for joining us on Beyond World Economics. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
All right, after multiple delays, Indian astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla and 3 others all set to travel to the International Space Station today. We're cutting live to NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida, where the countdown has begun for the launch of the Falcon 9 rocket with the Axiom 4 mission to the International Space Station. This is the 4th private astronaut mission carrying U.S. astronaut Peggy Whitson, Shubhanshu Shukla of India, and mission specialist from Poland and Hungary. As you know, the liftoff time, Indian Standard Time, is 1 minute post noon. Just a short while from now, of course. So the countdown has obviously begun. So these are the visuals that we're getting right now. We are cutting live to these visuals to NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The countdown has begun for the launch of the Falcon 9 rocket with Axiom Mission 4 to the International Space Station. And this is, is the 4th private astronaut mission carrying U.S. astronaut Peggy Whitson, pilot Shubhanshu Shukla of India, and mission specialist from Poland and Hungary. These are the live visuals that we're getting right now. As you know, the Axiom 4 mission was initially set for the 29th of May. It has faced multiple postponements and delays. Today is the day of liftoff. Favorable conditions have been reported. All systems are in check, looking good. This was the statement that we got earlier. These are the live visuals that we're getting from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
Ready for correctness arm track and propel mode and launch pending resolution of the winds upload issue. For all operators in MCC and Hangar X, both controls will go to lockdown at T-minus 45 minutes and will remain in that state until the LES system is disarmed. All operators are to remain at the console and maintain a still cockpit until the ND confirms successful disarming of the launch escape system following orbit insertion or baton offload in the event of a scrub. For non-urgent no-go conditions, brief the CE or LD and they will approve aborting the countdown. For urgent issues affecting the safety of the operation, operators shall call hold on the countdown end. Launch control will abort the launch auto sequence immediately and proceed until the launch abort auto sequence. At T-minus 10 seconds, launch control will be hands-off and relying on automated abort criteria for the remainder of the count. Operators shall advise the launch director when the structural breakup or fire is imminent or occurring for Dragon manual escape flight rules. Launch control, you may proceed with arming the crew for movement.
Okay, we're T-minus 43 minutes, 15 seconds to comment.
Of course, Beyond will be tracking all of the developments and will be bringing you minute-by-minute updates of the liftoff that has finally been set for today. The conditions are favorable, everything is in check, the systems are looking good. This after multiple postponements. Stay tuned to Beyond World is one where we will be bringing you all the minute-by-minute updates of the liftoff. Let's shift our focus for now, though. As the fighting between Russia and Ukraine rages on, Ukrainian intelligence agency has revealed stunning new details of its Operation Spiderweb, where 5 Russian airfields were struck. Take a look.